Hey, Zane Griggs here. I'm sure if you've been reading about healthy food or looking for a healthy diet for any period of time, you've probably read about soy. Okay, and there's good and bad points made about soy. Some say there's some great benefits to your heart. So it's a good protein source. Then there's a lot of other questionable, call it questionable, detractors. Okay, and I'm going to talk to you about two of those, about why I think what's the story on soy and why you should avoid it. Okay, so two main reasons that to me outweigh any possible benefit. Okay, that's my opinion, but to me, I think these two reasons outweigh any possible benefit we could possibly get from soy. Okay, first of all, soy is a phytoestrogen. Okay, so it has these chemicals in them called isoflavones. They're naturally occurring isoflavones, phytoestrogens. So what does that mean? It is a plant estrogen. We have estrogen, okay, right? And we have our own hormone base. Plants have their own hormone base. These are plant hormones, plant estrogens. So they're known to be endocrine disruptors, which means they disrupt our endocrine system. They can disrupt our own hormonal system. Now, how would they do that? We all have, men and women have estrogen receptors in our bodies, okay? And so because women put out more estrogen, those estrogen receptors are more active. Men don't have so much. We have very little, we have a lot more testosterone, okay? Our estrogen receptors are not engaged. They're not turned on. The gene expression does not get turned on except in the presence of that hormone, okay? So these phytoestrogens come into your system, and the idea is that, say for men, you can actually turn on your estrogen receptors, start gene expressing. You'll see possibly the development of breast tissue. Okay, it's gonna override or imbalance, cause an imbalance in your testosterone. So basically, it's gonna cause your testosterone to drop, or the effect of testosterone in your system to actually drop and show more feminine physical qualities and possibly even emotional quality, so basically it's going to throw off your hormone balance. With women, okay, yes, you guys already have estrogen. You say, hey, what's a little bit more estrogen? The problem is it can actually block your natural estrogen, your naturally producing estrogen, from getting to your estrogen receptors. So it can actually take the place of your own hormones, getting to those estrogen receptors. And that can cause all sorts of issues with, an increase in estrogen in your system. So it could just throw off your system. It can actually throw off your menstrual cycle, believe it or not, with an excessive amount of these phytoestrogens. And in some animal studies, for sure, and very small human studies, they've actually found a link from the phytoestrogens to an increase in breast cancer. Okay, think about it. Estrogen receptors are in the breast, right? So if it's going to throw off the hormones there or increase the hormones, you're going to get some changes that could cause the cells to be mutated slightly enough and overproduce. There you go. And actually is a very large or much more of an effect on children. So children and infants especially. So they've actually found links to soy formula being negatively affecting development of voice, okay, of these children developing their male sex characteristics, throwing that imbalance off in their testosterone it's trying to develop, just like, again, the typical male characteristics you want to see in development for children, because they're developing, it has a much greater effect and actually show earlier puberty development in girls. So they start developing breasts a little sooner, start having, their cycles start a little earlier. And so you can imagine there's probably some negative effects to that we haven't totally pinpointed just yet, or hasn't been confirmed. But those are definitely observations that have been made from soy protein, soy formula, soy milk, okay? Now, there does seem to be some decline in the effect in fermented soy products like miso or tempeh. So the isoflavones are still there, but the there's some damage done to the compounds that keeps it from being so expressed, so grossly expressed as it is in, say, soy protein, soy milk, soy formula, stuff like that. Now, the second reason I mentioned is because the soybean oil that's in so many of our food products is actually an omega-6 and causes a lot of inflammation. Okay, so I've talked before about omega-6 versus omega-3s. You probably heard about the importance of fish oil, omega-3 fatty acids, grass-fed meats. Okay, those will have, you know, wild game that have had bushes and leaves and grass to eat, so they have more omega-3s in them as opposed to grain-fed cattle and grain-fed farm-raised fish, and of course soy oil, corn oil, those kind of oils. So soybean oil, believe it or not, okay, and I got this from Dr. Mark Hyman, just did a great post about the dangers of soybean oil, and the effects on our brain, and, you know, how it affects us emotionally and physically, our brains. But the soybean oil actually makes up 10 to 20% of the average American diet. You say, how is that possible? I don't have soybean oil in my pantry. You actually do. It's a major ingredient in most processed foods. So if you flip it over, read the ingredients, okay, just about any salad dressing, okay, and it's just a filler in a lot of processed foods. So anything comes in a box, a jar, a can, look for soybean oil, okay? It's probably in there. It's one of the major fillers, okay, of most processed foods. So 10 to 20% of our diet, the average American diet, that's a tremendous amount for one product that we're not really actually buying. We're not buying that product to get soy out of it, are we? We're not buying products to get soybean oil, and we don't intentionally try to eat this or consume this soybean oil, do we? It's just there. That's the danger. So we're unaware that we're taking it in. Now, you're going to hear, well, what about Asia? What about Japan? Japan, they're so healthy, they live longer, they eat a lot of soy. Guess what? We eat more soy than them because it is a byproduct. Now, here's the facts and figures. Also got this from Mark Hyman's post. You can see it in there. 80% of the fats, okay, so if you're looking at omega-3 versus omega-6, soybean oil has omega-6, fish oil is omega-3, right? Omega-3s are the anti-inflammatory, omega-6s are the inflammatory. Inflammation causes pretty much every disease that we die from these days. Heart disease, cancer, you know, Alzheimer's, all those things start with inflammation and our immune system reacting to it, okay? So 80% of the fats in the Japanese diet come from omega-3s. Only 20% is omega-6. So we have some omega-6 as normal and natural, but our ratios are way off. In our country, it's just the opposite. We have 80% coming on average from omega-6s, 20% coming from omega-3s. There's a difference, and that's Japan. Known for eating soy, they still have a much greater ratio of omega-3 fats than omega-6s. Fish, right? They eat a lot of fish. Now, what can we do? We're not a small island, you know. We can eat more fish. There's always a scare of mercury. You gotta look for the fish that have less mercury in them typically, okay? But we can also supplement with omega-3 oils, okay? DHAs, EPAs, but stay away from omega-6s. So stay away from the cooking oils, the corn oils, the safflowers, the soybean oils. Okay, PAM, okay, you use coconut oils, coconut, avocado if you want, but look for products. You're going to start reading ingredient labels. You're going to start looking for a soybean oil and putting it away. I mean, for some things you're going to have to go organic to get this processed food, this product, like a salad dressing, without soybean oil in it. You're just going to have to, or make it yourself with olive oil and vinegar as an example. But it's in so many things you're probably not aware of. You're just going to have to avoid it and start supplementing with omega-3s to bring that balance back. So it's not going to be fun, but at first, you know, you build the habit and you start becoming more aware of what you're putting in your bodies, because, like you said, you probably didn't know 10 to 20% of our average diet came from soybean oil. Okay, now you know. You can act on it. Talk to you later.